At dawn on May 7, 2025, India launched a surprise missile strike across the line of control, targeting areas deep inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir. In response, Pakistan's military claimed it had downed multiple Indian fighter jets, sparking a wave of retaliatory artillery and airstrikes. Explosions echoed across border towns as terrified civilians scrambled for shelter. Early reports indicated dozens of casualties, both military and civilian. It was the most intense confrontation between the two nations in decades, raising fears of a wider conflict between two nuclear-armed powers. India described the operation, codenamed Sindoor, as a targeted campaign against terrorist infrastructure. Officials claimed the strikes were in retaliation for a brutal April 22 attack in Pahalgam, where 26 Hindu pilgrims were killed in a bombing allegedly carried out by Pakistan-backed militants. Pakistan, however, rejected the accusation and denounced the strike as an unprovoked act of war. Authorities in Islamabad stated that the Indian missiles had destroyed civilian infrastructure including schools, dams, and communication towers, leaving entire villages in chaos and ruin. On the ground, the devastation is hard to ignore. Homes have been leveled, families displaced, and emergency workers overwhelmed by the scale of destruction. Social media quickly filled with first-hand footage, smoke rising from bombed-out homes, bloodied survivors pulled from rubble, and the deafening sounds of jets circling overhead. Hospitals near the border are overflowing. As the human toll rises, so does the fury on both sides of the border. The deeper context of this crisis lies in Kashmir, a region that has long been the tinderbox of Indo-Pakistani hostility. Since their independence, India and Pakistan have fought multiple wars over this disputed territory, and both countries continue to claim it in full. What makes this flashpoint particularly dangerous now is the modern military capability both nations wield, including advanced missile systems and, most alarmingly, nuclear arsenals. Analysts warn that even a limited exchange could spiral out of control within hours. In Pakistan, the political response has been swift and fiery. Leaders vowed retaliation, with calls for a crushing response gaining traction across local media. Government officials stated that any countermeasures would be directed solely at military targets, but their tone made it clear. This is far from over. On social media, nationalist rhetoric surged as hashtags praising the military flooded Twitter, Telegram, and TikTok. India, meanwhile, maintains that its actions were justified and restrained. Officials in New Delhi emphasized that the strikes were carefully planned to avoid civilian areas and were a direct response to cross-border terrorism. Prime Minister Modi has vowed that those who harm Indian citizens will face consequences beyond imagination. Indian news channels have been flooded with patriotic imagery, and online platforms echo with support for the military campaign. The international community is watching with growing alarm. The United States has called for calm but has so far stopped short of direct involvement. China and Russia have issued similar appeals, urging both sides to pull back from the brink. But behind the scenes, diplomatic channels are active, scrambling to prevent a full-blown war. The danger is not hypothetical. Both India and Pakistan possess second-strike nuclear capabilities, meaning that even a single miscalculation could set off an irreversible chain reaction. As of now, the situation remains volatile. Borders have been sealed, trade has halted, and both militaries are on maximum alert. Economies are already reacting. Markets in both countries have dipped, and analysts warn of long-term instability if the standoff continues. What comes next is uncertain. The region stands on a knife's edge, and every hour that passes brings the world closer to either de-escalation or disaster.